You want to go on this side? That's
Yeah, you go on the other side.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, go on the
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for having us. First, I do want to say thank you to, obviously University of Hawaii, Scheidler, Pace, Kai, Tracy Crystal, another Kai, and Rosie as well. Thank you very much for having us here. It's really, really exciting. My name is Chris. This is my partner, Dan. And, the guy over there recording, it's actually Dan's dad.
He's the guy that should be speaking.
Yeah, 100%. But first of all, thank you guys for sitting in the front. So here's a little thing, here's a little thing, here's a little thing, here's a little thing. Like a big part of why Dan and I were able to like keep going and doing things is because we weren't afraid to, put ourselves in situations and go out there and talk to people. So that's a big thing. So thank you for being up there. You want to go to the first slide?
Sure. I think a big part of what brought us together, besides my father, was a mutual interest and an understanding of the opportunity that exists within culture as a whole. I think that what really kind of kicked off our business and really taught us that we could expand was that you don't need, before I worked for large corporations, Mercedes, Apple, Beats, but you don't need a big machine behind you per se. You just need people that represent who you are as a business and have the same kind of goals and aspirations that don't quit and will follow through. Because at the end of the day, what we were able to do was we were able to create a company that exists similar to like an advertising agency like RGA or Wieden & Kennedy. And we were able to start a business that ended up taking a global retainer away from Robert Greenberg and Associates, the #1 digital agency. And we got it for Beats by Dre. So, I mean, honestly, it's just like culture. It's the understanding of each other, the communication, how dynamic we're able to be, the promises we're able to make. A lot of what we do is not on contracts. It's all handshakes, and you know what I mean. Trust me, that kind of stuff. And yeah, that's kind of where we're at. So, I don't know.
Show Jeff Kung then.
Yeah, sure.
So we're just going to open up with a little bit of
What's
a
good,
video.
everybody? It is Jeff Kong Ling Chi up in the place, and today I got an interesting request from a friend of mine, Daniel Lau. He asked me to introduce him today to all of you, and I think it's kind of weird because, I look at Daniel as such a close friend of mine for more than 10 years now. We used to hang out in Beijing, go party together, and whatnot, and, like living in China, people come and go, but Daniel stuck around and really made a really good niche for himself, doing this type of energy marketing, and then now our friendship has become a working relationship. So we worked on Beats by Dre, the campaign's last few years, and then now he's moved on to managing some other brands like Givenchy is coming up, G by Givenchy. That's going to be hot. It's going to come out real soon, and we're always trying to do stuff that's more creative, stuff that's not just, we don't want to follow the trends. We're not just doing what's hot, in New York or Paris, and then we just try to port it to Shanghai or Beijing. That's not what we're trying to do. We're always trying to, move the needle, do us, and just do really good work. So, I'm really honored, really excited to introduce Daniel Lau. He's a good homie of mine. And like I said, we'll be doing big things in the future. So here we go, y'all, Dan.
Anyway, so this is a good buddy of mine. I think this is a good example for understanding how exponential your business opportunities can be when you understand that your network is pretty much is social capital. I think that a big opportunity was actually having long-term friends that understood what I was trying to accomplish as a person, not necessarily what the brand was trying to accomplish. I represented myself in the same way that brands utilize like Jordan. It's one of those things where you have to be committed to the things you do, and even if I failed in the past working with him, I took responsibility, accountability, and I didn't apologize for things. I would, if there was ever issues or problems, just figure out what the answer is and the solution, because nobody really wanted to hear any excuses. So, even though it's like a 10, 15-year relationship with some of these people, it's not like it was always perfect. It was very rocky at times, but at the end of the day, you're able to build on opportunities. And this guy had maybe 15,000 followers when I first met him, and now he's one of the biggest TV hosts in China, Asia. Um, he does a lot of stuff. He's on that hip hop TV show that's all over the place right now, and yeah, it's so funny to see guys like this talk because we have gone through trials and tribulations together. But yeah, we just I asked him to make a quick video for me for this kind of speech, and this is the kind of things that you can do when you just ask your buddy to take a quick little video. The,
So what do you guys
yeah.
think influencer marketing is? Or what do you think we do? Or more importantly, what Daniel does? He's the master. What do you guys think we do? What do you guys think we do? No takers. Okay, you go next slide. Next slide, next slide. Oh,
Alright,
this
okay,
one.
sorry.
Okay, this one. Okay, so this is an example of kind of actually what we do. Okay, so we're not the people in the front, right, at the camera. We're probably never even going to get credit for a lot of things, right? But this is obviously Daniel right here, right? So he's not even looking at the actress, right, the lady influencer. He's looking at the screen because he's the guy behind the scenes putting things together. Okay, so this was filmed in Shanghai. Okay, where do you think this media piece ended up? Like, where do you think this went to? Where was it shown?
You're talking about reach, right?
Yeah. So U.S. is right. Okay, where? Where do you think it probably went? Nobody has a guess. What if I give you a prize if you like, get it right? I'll give you something if you get it right.
Well, that's a pretty good
Yeah,
answer,
okay.
and that's right too. But
They did? Okay, who said it?
Oh.
Okay, who said that? Hey, toss him a beanie. Let's toss him a beanie, dude. Yeah, it's in the bag. It's in the
Yeah.
bag. Okay, go to the next slide.
anyways. Yeah.
So this ended up on the New York Times Square.
And so how these kind of opportunities come up is we have an idea. We lay it out. I get friends of mine to.
Hey
Hold on one
guys,
second. Sorry. I'm gonna go back. I get my friends to engage before I even do a project, and I say, hey, look, I got this concept. I want to do these, this rollout globally. Then I pitch it to my influencers and get feedback as to how engaging they would be, because I don't want to make promises to my bosses or to my partners that I can't deliver on. So I gauge how interested they are in it, and then kind of work backwards, and then build it around the consumer market that they're interested in, right? So for a lot of Chinese celebrities, they cost like $35-50 million to appear in a video like that or in a commercial. But because I'm able to leverage the celebrities that I know in the United States, so let's say, for instance, this actor Chris Wu, who's a rapper with Travis Scott, he wanted to. What's a good one? Maybe I should use Race Roman instead. So Race Roman was in my campaign for Straight Outta Compton. Actually, you know what? I gotta hold on this.
Okay, yeah,
That's the
say
wrong
that,
story.
say that.
Okay.
He's jumping the gun. He gets really excited. He gets really
Sorry.
excited.
But anyways, I think it's just basically a culmination of understanding the assets that you have and how you will execute along a timeline, and ensuring that based on the foundation, which are the stakeholders that you have along that those are that you can make promises on top of that, and that comes with years of building those relationships. And like I said, it's not always positive. Sometimes things don't go good, but
So
as long as you keep coming back, yeah.
So the typical, right, influencer marketing, right, you hire like brand ambassadorships, and you're paying people to post on Instagram or go to stores and things like that. What made Dan special? So actually, I didn't know him for a while. So I did my MBA in National Taiwan University, and the first time that I met him, I actually brought him to Taiwan to actually do a speech about energy marketing, basically this. And so I didn't know anything about it either. And that's the first time I met him, was when he came to a speaker session that I created. What I learned, right, is that, yeah, there's typical influencer marketing, but why Dan was so, effective at what he does is because of his depth of understanding of the people and the companies that he's working with, right? So when he's working with influencers, right, he wants to do things that are in their interest, right? If he's aligning them with a brand that is along like their career path or things that they want to do, right? And if the brand also likes them, that synergy provides many, many more outputs. Not just potentially cost, benefit savings, but extra posts or genuine, they genuinely have a relationship with the brand. And when the influencer genuinely appreciates and likes the brand, I'm sure you guys can tell when it's paid or when they actually like it, right? And that's kind of what we do, right? We want to create the genuine interactions.
Mm-hmm. And what I learned was from meeting this guy that even though I thought I was pretty good at what I did and I could scale a business, I realized that there were other parts of I knew what I knew, and Chris knows what Chris knows. And to be very honest with you, through that experience and through speaking with him, I realized that I was only able to scale at X, whatever speed that I had in mind. But when I met him and he kind of understood and was able to build on the communication and the understanding of my business and the financials, which that's all him. You realize that there's exponential opportunity when you have, a lot of times, a buddy of mine here, Ricky, he always jokes around about how we don't really talk to each other, but we already know what each other thinks. And I think that's a big part of any success for any of the businesses, because the more I have to talk, the less we're getting stuff done. Yeah.
Next slide.
Yeah. So this is just a kind of a quick example of what a year looks like for me going into setting up my company with Chris. So this is just to give you guys a sense of the amount of reach that you have to be able to have, and the kind of, like, when you think about your network, how big is your network really? Like, you have to be able to reach out. Like, my expectation from my bosses were maybe like reaching out to like 5 or 6 celebrities. I reached out to like a couple hundred. And that was already because I'd worked with them previously, but still. A great example, I met Mario Getz, took him out in Shanghai. He really liked Beats products. We talked about doing a sponsorship for his team. Sent him some products to see how they would react to it in the locker room before a game. They liked it. Beats put up $60 million and now they sponsor Bayern Munich. So it's always, there's always opportunities on top of other opportunities. It's never just like, there's never just like a finish line or a goal. Every opportunity or every checkpoint you get to always presents like another opportunity to build on top of it. So here's another example.
Clint.
Yeah. Hey guys, my name is Clint, and you may know me as Clint Eastwood from Instagram. I originally met Daniel while I was shooting for Mary Grace Swim in Hawaii, and it was through a mutual friend. We ended up having dinner and talking about what we did, and after showing him some of my work, we eventually started brainstorming ideas and came up with the idea of incorporating some of the companies he works for and getting some products in some of my shots. Over the period of a month, we talked over Facebook, Skype, just different meetings, whatever we can. He was always traveling, and through Beijing and the time frame difference, I would be up about midnight talking to him, and we decided to work on the new Beats collab coming out with James Dean for Year of the Monkey. On the next shoot I had was going back to Hawaii. We planned to have it all set up to do it in about a couple hours. I had a girl ready, makeup, location set up, and then he had the headphones shipped to the Ruka house where I went and picked him up. I jokingly put the headphones on and said I was ready to model, and he then realized the headphones were the wrong type. And it looks like one of the celebrities he works with switched the headphones that I was going to use for the shoot.
Bruce Irons took the headphones, and I had to call him and chase him down and call his girlfriend
real quick
to get him back.
And get the headphones back to the house before anyone noticed. And then over a couple hours, edit the photos, Dropbox them. It was about probably 2 in the morning when I was talking to him, and he was sent it in to his boss. And about 5 minutes later, we got an email saying they were perfect, and apparently Hypebeast beats, and the artists were gonna post the headphones. And that's when we knew it was perfect team, perfect match, perfect collab. After that first post, we started working with other products and kind of just throw them in different shoots I had, and we've just been building a relationship more and more each time. Over the next couple months, we plan on having some new companies, and you'll be seeing some more of our work together. But other than that, have a good one, buddy.
So this is just an example. This is maybe like 5-10 minutes. Like right after the post, 12 hours, 22 hours,
4
4
hours.
hours. So, this is something that didn't cost me any money. I made these headphones. I grew up with the co-founders of Powwow, so I worked with an artist with them before in Taiwan. Made some headphones, and these were the prototype headphones. Sent them to Clint, who's a well-known photographer. Bruce Irons stole the headphones. I had to call his girlfriend, scold him, chase him down, get it back, because if he had posted a photo, I would get sued by Apple. So I had to get the headphones back, got the shot done, and it went really well. So, there's always opportunities. There's always going to be things that are going to go wrong. It's like anything, any project that you have, it's you can have these long-term plans, but a lot of times some of the best opportunities come up where my buddy calls me. He says he has a really good model in town. To trust him, send him a product, and he'll get good shots. And this was one of the better ones where they use this at Apple is a good example of how to execute on influencer marketing.
Yes, he just wanted to show you this to show you what the end result was. Yeah. From that.
Yeah, I guess this is kind of where it starts from, though.
So, this is trying to simplify down a little bit to what we kind of do to try to make it applicable to students and stuff. So, I mean, very simply, like, first part of it is insight, right? You have to know what's going on. You have to know who the people are, what the trends are, right? So basically, who, what, why. The example we have, right? Like millennials are a big thing, right? So you have to know like who they like to engage with, right? Who do they like to engage with? What's going on in pop culture? The next part, right, once you have the information, right, whether it's relationships or insight, whatever it is, right, then you can try to develop a concept, right? So developing the concept, I am not a marketing guy, not at all. Like I'm a finance guy, I'm a business guy. I had no experience in marketing whatsoever when we started Lightspeed Vision.
Facts.
Yeah, like honestly,
Facts.
Okay, I'm used to wearing suits, right? I'm used to wearing suits. So literally, when I started working with him and we started going out, entertaining people, like one of the first things he told to me is, you cannot wear suits when we go out. Like he literally said, you cannot wear suits when you go out. We're going to be hanging out with celebrities and fashion executives, and they will look at you from your feet to your hair. They will know exactly what brand you're wearing, regardless of whether or not
this guy didn't know what a collaboration meant.
Yeah, So he literally probably dressed, picked out my clothes for probably at least.
I'm still doing it.
So okay, this is his clothes. Yeah. Okay, and that is my clothes. Yeah. So we are very close. Like we actually we actually switched it last minute.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, but it's having an understanding of everybody to such a degree that in culture, if you have to wait for contracts, you're done.
Yeah.
And even for me, for working at Apple, it takes 45 days to get any kind of approval. So a lot of this stuff was, we just do it, and I'd say sorry if I had to, and if it didn't go well, which didn't happen too much. But.
So I didn't finish this, right? But what we firmly believe, and we kind of evolved to this understanding, right? Like this is something I tell people all the time. I'm sure they're tired of hearing me say this, but we believe like culture dictates behavior, right? Like it influences your decisions, what you buy, what you think, right? And the people that you associate with, kind of for some reason kind of like have a similarity with them or look up to them somehow. And so what we wanted to do, right? We want to lead culture. We want to be in the front of culture to help control what we do, what we say. But just because we have something that's never been done before doesn't mean it's going to be good or interesting or popular or something that's going to be able to be relatable to the target demographic, right? So that's why the collaborations are so important, along with the insight that you have, right? And it is a challenge because oftentimes you're trying to convince people to maybe do something they haven't done before.
Well, I think, okay, I think that what it is there's a lot of noise. There's just a lot of ads. This is a digital age. It's global. You're just constantly inundated. So I think that the key of what we try to do is we try to create messages and conversations that can be heard above all of that noise in a way that's not necessarily push ads. It's more having people, challenging people to critical thought. I think when I look at advertising, if it's too direct, I'm not interested in buying it, even if I need the product. But if there's advertising that's educational, that makes me stop and think about something where I don't even understand why it is that they're promoting this or what the message is in context to the product, that's the kind of thing that sticks to me. And I appreciate when they respect that. So a lot of what I try to do is respect that and create a message that people can grow on, and you kind of, through that, let's say this is a sphere of noise, you can create your own message, and that message can amplify and hopefully override the noise from things that are maybe not so necessary.
And execution, yeah. You have to be able to execute it.
Yeah.
And that's just the results.
Yeah.
Next one. This one's you. Actually, do you want me to start with?
Yeah,
okay.
come
Okay.
on.
So,
Come on.
linear
You got that.
process-driven model. Okay, that's something like you learned in school. So, what do you think we think it is?
He's got to put names on the things that I do and how I do it. So this is
Yeah. So, okay, what do you think linear process-driven model is? So you kind of understand a very basic, like broad understanding of kind of just little pieces that we talked about. So putting those pieces together, understanding what marketing is and using influencers, like what would you think a linear process-driven model might be? This is, yeah.
based on the social media and the product. Pretty much. And understanding how to utilize along like a user journey as to how to create sales, right? So what I'll do is MCM approaches me and says they want to do a collaboration. Then I'll look at my celebrities, see who would really be interested in engaging the brand, not for money, but just because they want to do it. That way I can utilize my media spend and the money that I have behind me to push the message and be more effective. And so what I try to do is I try to make it a win-win for everybody. The celebrity gets to engage with a brand that he normally wouldn't be able to, gets custom specific product, and the brand engages with him in a way that usually a brand ambassador doesn't get to do because it happens much quicker. Then they also get to, their fans are also engaged, and it represents, their fans really want to get the things that they're passionate about as well, that they're posting more about than, let's say, a usual advertisement. So because of that entire journey, it creates excitement, and it also creates momentum in a way that you're able to amplify whatever product release you have or whatever message you're trying to push. Next one. So for instance, I worked with
Chris Wu.
Chris Wu is the largest celebrity at the moment in China.
Anybody know Chris Wu?
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Chris. My Chinese name is Wu Yifan, and I'm straight out of Guangzhou. 广州对我来说意味着很多童年啊、儿时，包括中学的时候有一段时间回去国待了一段时间，那段时间很热血的一些回忆，青春的回忆，所以这东西都会累积沉淀下来，然后对我以后做音乐可能会有更多不一样的灵感。
If you don't know who Chris Wu is, I promise you will in the next year to 2 years. He's just had a #1 hit with Travis Scott. He was in Valerian, Triple X.
The last Triple X movie. He was the guy whose special power was to party.
Yeah. You'll be seeing a lot more of him.
So you guys remember the Straight Outta campaign, right? So like Dan did that before, I really actually met him. But I think that is like one of the best campaigns that I've ever seen.
Stop it.
It went global, right? It went global, right? And besides being global, it is, to me, it's elegantly simple, right? It's very simple. You have that one little box thing. It says Straight Outta. You type in like that city or the state or the country. You get a local influencer to do that, and it's very cheap, right? But you're being able to create a message that relates directly to people no matter where they are in the world, right? So you're able to tap directly into the local communities, their local heroes, right? So it was, to me, it was a really good.
But it's the opposite of how it sounds. It was a nightmare. You know, from working with Universal, who owned the rights for the Straight Outta Compton lockup, so all I had was Straight Outta, and Dre's approval for utilizing it only like based on specific approvals. So I'd have to check in with him all the time and make sure it was okay. But you know, from coming up with the concept for what the campaign would be, you have Straight Outta, you can't put Compton. It's supposed to be about Dre, and then how do you promote that with product? So we just kept thinking and spitballing and sitting around and just kind of talking to each other. And there's like Straight Outta the 808, and then my other buddy's like, you know, I'm straight out of Atlanta. My other friend was like, well, I'm straight out of London. We're like, okay, maybe we could create something where people can engage and we can utilize celebrities in different markets to amplify the message of Dr. Dre was straight out of Compton. That's kind of, and the goal is to educate people about Beats headphones and where they come from, because a lot of people thought it was Monster products originally. And so even from that, then he said it was so simple to lock up. The day of the launch, I was in the lobby of Apple headquarters crying because one of my celebrities used the concept image instead of the actual image, and he had, I think at the end, like 1.1 billion views or likes on the photo. This is China, so remember, there's a lot more people. And I was basically fired. But then when the feedback started coming in, I was unfired. So, and this happened all the time. All these projects, nobody wanted to touch them because there's too many conflicts of interest. But what I would do is because I already understood all of the pieces and had already had the confidence that I could execute on these things at the base level of getting it done, that I had to put my job on each of these opportunities to say, look, if it doesn't work out, you can just fire me. And so far, so good. But this is just an example of porting it to a different market. This is in China. This is have you guys heard of ComplexCon at all? Anybody? No? Okay. Anyway, these are streetwear conventions that go around globally. And so at the time, there was the largest streetwear convention in the world, I guess, bigger than Agenda and Magic. Anyways, this is an example of, I wanted to tie in the Straight Out of story, tie it to the celebrities in market, and then introduce them to the different collaborations, because I was in charge of all of the collaboration products for Beats by Dre. So basically creating a connection, utilizing celebrities and passing a message, and also too making sure that the space represents that message. So everything along the entire process has to be representative of your message, or the message doesn't get passed through. And also too, these are, you know, when you have a message where it's simply engaging somebody based on you know, conversation, I think that it's much more palatable, I think, a lot of times. So. So you can see it doesn't matter where you are, you can still engage people, even if they can't understand the language, it doesn't matter. Keep in mind, I had to roll this out in like, I don't know, I don't even know how many countries, more than a dozen, but I don't know the language for any of these places. It's not about language, it's about a mutual understanding of the message, and everybody kind of being an ambassador and communicating the same thing. This is another, it's Givenchy now. So.
Oh, it's already?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Wait, you want to go to the next one?
Oh, so okay, I guess so. When I was at Beats by Dre, I was doing a lot of collaborations. I think I went through about 12 collaborations at Apple and Beats by Dre. The products that were in Apple retail here in Hawaii, globally, and so there were other opportunities where other brands were asking to do the same thing. And so I had worked with Riccardo Tisci from Givenchy. on a headphone, and so he was basically I was tasked to go to LVMH, Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy, the parent company of LV, and pitch a concept to create a new diffusion line under House of Givenchy because House of Givenchy isn't maximizing their sales because it's too high-end luxury, and there's more consumers that want it, but it's also not as wearable as other high-end luxury brands. After working together on the concept development, LVMH gave us about $450 million with a 220 store rollout. So we're about 66 stores, and they had deposit. So we haven't entered the U.S. market because House of Givenchy is afraid, or LVMH is afraid that we're cannibalizing the brand name of House of Givenchy because we already hit like 40% of total sales volume in our first year. So, this is why I left Beats and went to work with him because I couldn't do it by myself.
This is the Givenchy.
Also, too, I was making promises on I can do this and I'll set up my own company. I have no idea how to. I was just like, yeah, I can do it, but I just knew that I would follow through and get it done.
Yeah. So the brand line was G Givenchy, right? And the marketing strategy, right? So Givenchy wanted to do China first, global second. So that's why they opened like the 200 stores in China, because that was their strategy. And so the influencer. Okay, you want to pause it? Maybe?
Well, keep in mind that I'm also trying to set up my first business on my own at the same time of trying to manage clients. So it's not like any of this is easy. It's just that guy back there. He's kind of the reason that I went to China in the first place, and forced me to. He was my coach when I was a kid, and he used to force me to be the team captain and push me harder than everybody else. And even though I didn't enjoy it when I was a kid, I found that I enjoyed it in as I got older in a corporate environment, in a work environment where people were trying, everybody was A-type and trying to take everybody out, and it was very competitive, and there was lots of crying, and I was like, perfect. This is just like this is just like me learning how to play sports and communicate with my team, and so a big reason of why I was able and capable to do this is because it's not that I'm smarter than anybody else. It's not that I know more than anybody else. It's that I'm more determined than anybody else just because I want to beat him. Yeah. So I just utilize the complex in a more positive way.
You don't want to zoom in on him,
Yeah, over there.
Yeah.
So anyways, this is just a few different ones I did. So like launching a concept like Adidas Do-Over. So, and when I was at Mercedes-Benz, I launched 2 campaigns for Mercedes called Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week. So back in 2011, launched the concept for Mercedes-Benz Fashion Weeks that we rolled out in Paris, New York, LA, Tokyo, Shanghai, Madrid. And then also for Adidas, creating concepts that are outside mainline products, but also design shoes and products as well. That's about it, yeah. I don't know. Chris, you got anything else?
Well, I already said this already. I
Yeah.
jumped the gun.
And so this is how it is. we finish each other's sentences, and we're usually done before we plan to be done. And that's just how a good example of what it's.
Can I tell them what your marketing strategy, your influencer strategy for G Givenchy was?
Sure.
Okay, so again, I didn't know anything, right? So his influencer strategy for G Givenchy, knowing that they wanted to do China first, global second. So there was 3 phases, right? So the first phase was like local, like city local within China, right? The second phase was more national, like nationally recognized influencers within China. And then the third phase was tapping into a global range of influencers. And within each of those phases, Dan had selected specific, people that were in different industries or doing different things, so that when they're posting and when they're going to the store and bringing their friends, it's people from different industries. So it doesn't matter like what your interest is, the brand is everywhere, represented by people that you recognize.
I mean, we had Anderson .Paak, OG Mako, had like Bruno support, and that's just because I follow through with what I do. It's not that these guys would forget me in 2 seconds if I didn't execute on the things that I needed to. So whenever I make promises, I make damn sure if I get into arguments or conversations that are going to end up in an argument, I make damn sure that I have the answer before I get into it. Yeah.
Next.
That's it.
Is it?
That's it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Yeah.
I'll go stand over here.
Yeah. You can just close it. Yeah.
Who
So,
answered?
actually, you know what? I'll show you guys one more. Yeah, I'll give them one more.
Okay.
So this was the last project.
Where's my water?
We never aired it except for on the NFL draft. But this is a good example of why I do what I do. To be able to work for a global company and then be able to do projects that you know I'm passionate about. I think that this is a perfect example of why I was able to work so hard at what I did, because I understood that I could get to a place like this because I believe in where I think I can go. And so it's like just a visualization and realization of what I want to accomplish. A lot of times I'll say crazy stuff to my friends, but then I'll make sure that I go in. Oh, sorry. I'll make sure that well, that's a fashion. Sorry. Let's see. I'll make sure that if I say those things, they know that, like, I don't have to defend myself or say trust me. They're already working on whatever I'm trying to do, and we're just a team. Yeah.
So maybe before we do Q&A, I just want to do a quick shout out. So we are creating another company in Hawaii, right? It's a new company. We're basically going to try to do everything that we did before, but we want to bring things to Hawaii, right? We are from Hawaii. You know, I'm 5th generation Hawaii. I think Dan is 4th or 5th generation as well.
How many?
4 and 5.
4 and 5. There you go.
Okay, I'm gonna keep mine simple. I'm 5th generation Hawaii. My dad was born in Kona side. And so, you know, growing up, I think a lot of us who did, you know, grow up here, like we do see Hawaii as a potential bridge, right? Not, you know, to be a bridge between Asia and the rest of the United States. And so we've always, you know, I honestly do not recommend anybody to take the path I've taken. Like, it was kind of crazy, and I took a lot of detours. I was fortunate, right? I followed my gut, I followed my instinct and my, you know, what my brain was telling me, what my heart was telling me. And I basically did not want to live with regrets, right? If I saw something that I thought was worth it to give it a try, even though maybe I'm gonna fail at it, like, I would regret not giving it a try, you know? And I didn't want to have that regret. So I would try it, give it your best, see what happens.
Well, it's not a fail if you try hard. Like, I mean, we have what many would call fail.
Oh yeah.
Many times, but it never really ends up being a failure because when people don't really care. It's not a failure unless you give up. A lot of times, you can change somebody's perspective from where you are in, I guess, your failure, and how you handle and you face your adversity is all that people are going to remember anyways, because you're able to overcome it, and you still have momentum and you're still moving forward. You think anybody cares about whatever problems there were at that time because you overcame it? That's a success. So, like, it's not really even failure in the first place.
So quick shout out to the team over there, right? Yeah, Ryan Motts.
And just remember, these are guys that I have grown up with.
Oh yeah.
Played teammates right there, Kyle, Ricky, Motts, like, and these are all guys I grew up with, and it's just like my business or anybody that I work with, whether it's like, you know, my father even, I just identify and I really assess and understand the value that the people around me have, and that you're simply a culmination, your resources are simply a culmination of the people that are around you and closest to you, and also represent who you are and help you to pass your message as meaningfully as possible. Because I could have guys standing there and try to tell you all kinds of things, but if we don't represent what we represent by our beliefs, then we're just a promoter. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
This is Kyle.
This is Kyle. Yes.
I just want to say a couple things that they didn't really touch on, but I think is really important for everyone to hear, is travel. Go abroad, spend some time abroad. That is what has led to these types of opportunities.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I spent some time abroad. I went to to school in California.
Mhm.
So having a global understanding of how business works, how culture, how people work,
Mhm.
is crucial to any success.
Absolutely.
If you wants to be an entrepreneur, go spend some time somewhere else.
So we,
Especially if
yeah,
you've only been in Hawaii
It's
for your
true.
whole life, it is going to open your eyes to the rest of the world and to any number of opportunities that you would probably never find here in Hawaii. So
Yeah,
that's
he stayed with me in Shanghai for a good amount of time, and even just that experience helps us to communicate now. Even though we've been friends for a long time, it helps with the understanding of the context to my thought process and culture and business and I guess everything as a whole. It creates a synergy and a dynamic relationship in a way that you just can't. Yeah.
so because it's entrepreneurship, like I'll give you one last story and then we'll do some Q
Good
and A.
question.
But we'll do some Q and
Good
A.
question.
But
Give us
when
some
we
DoorDash
first started,
stuff.
right? Like I was living in Taiwan at the time. Dan was in Shanghai, right? He came to do my speech. We talked for an entire year before we agreed to actually do business together. And when we started, right, like we actually didn't think it was gonna happen. It just
We
kinda
negotiate
happened.
for a living, so
Yeah.
you just
It
have
was
to
like
put two
it took us a
gotta
year.
negotiate together. It's not. Yeah.
And then when I first started going to Shanghai, you know, Dan was already living there.
Yeah.
I was sleeping on his couch. Like I don't know how many months I slept on your couch. But that couch, like so many celebrities have slept on that couch too. So I didn't really feel that bad. I didn't really feel that bad.
Yeah.
It was a nice couch. It was a
Yeah.
nice couch.
Bruno.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay, so maybe we can do questions, I guess. Yeah, I spared you guys our you know our story about how we ended up to Taiwan and all that. So I spared you guys.
yeah.